Yo, yo, yo. Welcome to Bucco Brew. This is the North Shore Line podcast presented by FanDuel. I'm your host, Anthony DiNardo. With me, we have Jim Rosati. And yes, you're listening to Bucco Brew, powered by DeFair Coffee and Tea. How you doing today? Good morning, or good Monday, I should say.
Good Monday. Good morning.
I'm all off. I don't know what's going on with me.
Yeah, that was hey, you know what? It's 7:04, so you're allowed a little bit of a hiccup.
I have to say something. I feel like I'm officially getting a complex, or something's up. Something's wrong. Because these past 2 Mondays, I have not gotten any sleep.
Just go to bed earlier.
See, that's what I thought you were going to say. And that's the logical thing to say. That's what you would assume. But that's not the problem, Jim. The problem is I keep waking up every 20, 30, 40 minutes thinking, did I miss the show? Swear to God. Swear to God. It is in my head Sunday night, Monday morning. Am I late?
Maybe that wouldn't be going through your head if you hadn't missed like 2 shows in a row.
It wasn't in a row, but understood. But again,
yeah,
I am waking up all hours, all quarters of the hours of the night, just worried in a panic. What time is it? Oh, it's only 3:20.
Not only that, like you got the NS9 Live banner going on here. We don't even have the Bucco Brew overlay.
Oh dear, you know what? I didn't make one. I totally forgot about the banner. Wait, Jim left? That's not how this works. I'll actually make a banner live on the show as we do this. But yeah, I just wanted to mention that. I'm toast.
Just a mess. Yeah. Anyways, not a lot happening in Pirates world in the last week. I guess we can say there was a couple of just like minor moves. Chris Davinsky, minor league free agent signing. Chang got claimed. Canario got claimed. So no one really got to go through waivers there. The Ryan O'Hearn signing became official. So we've got that now, which means another player had to get removed from the roster, and that was Chase Shugart. Chase Shugart DFA'd to make room for Ryan O'Hearn, who is now officially a Pirate. That one was delayed a little bit. It was the holidays. Then you had the combination of his child being born. So yeah, Ryan O'Hearn now officially in the mix. But were you surprised at all about Chase Shugart being DFA'd?
Well, I'm glad you said that because that's what I was going to say to you. I mean, like I am, but I'm not. And I say that because I guess I'll put it this way. I'm not surprised, but I feel bad. Is that maybe the best way to put it? Because he is one of those guys where it's just like he had a good season, but should he have? Why? Is this really the type of reliever I'm going to protect like at all costs? You know, like he's not. And I guess like the Johan Ramirez, Dowry Moretta situation kind of like pinpoints that. Like Chase Shugart's not the guy that has the sexy stuff, you know, in that bullpen, but he was the guy that performed last year. And, you know, I kept saying I felt like every time he pitched that he's kind of been one of the unsung heroes for this team last year. I mean, the guy didn't have any expectations, played a pretty large role per se. You know, he had meaningful innings and like he just performed. He just simply did his job. And kudos to him for that. But it was like he did all that and he's out of a job. You know, so that's why I say like, but the type of, you know, the reliever that he is, and, you know, this is a good bullpen as well. It's not the greatest, I feel like, but it's solid, you know, but, you know, him losing his job, I feel bad for him. I do. I feel bad for him, but I'm not shocked.
Yeah. I guess I'm a little bit surprised just looking at some of the other names on the 40 man. Like, I feel like someone like Cam Sanders is someone that they never even really gave much of a shot to last.
Mhm.
And with the successes Shugart had, I would have expected them to let's say Sugar it doesn't surprise me that they DFA'd him because like you mentioned, like the sexy stuff isn't there with him. Stuff Plus does like his cutter. They do like his slider. So like the stuff that moves horizontally, they do tend to like with him. But yeah, I mean, average fastball velocity was 95, which is pretty below average for a right-handed reliever nowadays.
Right.
But like I feel like the cutter was mostly like his calling card, and yeah, he kind of just did a good job last year. 45 innings, 3.40 ERA. But yeah, it was aided by a very low BABIP, pretty high left on base rate. He
Mhm.
walked a decent amount, didn't really get the strikeout. So yeah, I think it's in you saw this with Johan Ramirez and Dowry Moretta. Like the Pirates didn't really necessarily look at the on-field results of a of sub 50 inning relievers. Instead, they were just looking at, hey, what kind of stuff do they got?
Right.
And
And
I
like
guess
that
Sugar,
also makes
yeah,
sense to put
Sugar
that in
did a good job.
perspective.
Yeah,
No, I was just gonna say, I mean, when it comes to relievers, ERA is not really the best indicator of how well a season they had because again, especially 40, less innings and such of a reliever. I mean, right?
yeah,
It's been kind of proven time and time again. We talk about it time and time again for some degree. So it's again like his ERA is not really the best indicator of like, hey, he performed last year. I mean, he did though. Like I said, like I mean, ultimately that is what matters, but that's not a good indicator like going forward of like how successful of a reliever or pitcher you're going to be.
yeah. No, I agree with you. I agree with you there. So it's yeah. I would imagine Sugar gets picked up though. Like he's definitely he's a dime a dozen righty reliever. Like he's one of those guys that just everybody has a bunch of these righty relievers that just get called up and down, up and down, up and down. But like he's got an option left, which makes him a little attractive. So yeah, I could see him getting claimed.
Oh, for sure.
So,
Yep. This time of the year, definitely.
yep.
Now, with that being said, I can also see him being DFA'd a week later again.
Yeah.
So we'll see what comes about of this. But yeah, like I said, I do feel bad, somewhat kind of shocking, but not in total. But that
Mhm.
was the Pirates move this week, really. And so we have a packed show for you.
Yeah.
But no, we do. We
Yeah.
do. The Cubs made a relatively decent move that has some good impact on the NL Central and the Pirates here as well. We're going to talk about the Pirates and, is there maybe one more in them, Ben Cherington and such. But before we do that, let's go ahead and tell you a little more about our sponsor. So, of course, the Fair Coffee and Tea is a family and employee owned and operated business. They believe that coffee and tea are one of life's simplest and most accessible pleasures, and when enjoyed thoughtfully, can open your eyes to the here and now. They have 5 locations across the city of Pittsburgh, including their flagship in the heart of Pittsburgh's historic Strip District. Don't forget to stop by the Fair's new location downtown on Penn Avenue, right across from the Benedum. Grab a cup and fuel up on your walk to PNC Park. Mobile ordering is available. Check out their Instagram for more details. And of course, their site is thefair.coffee, and you can save yourself 30%. Jim, tell them how.
Yeah, go to thefair.coffee, load up your cart with whatever you need, and use promo code NS930. That's NS930, and you'll save 30% off your order.
There it is. Good stuff. Still drinking my light up night brew. So pretty good. Pretty good stuff.
There you go. There you go. But yeah, you mentioned the Cubs. The Cubs signed. Well, first off, they traded for Edward Cabrera last week, so that bolstered the rotation a little bit. I know you and Tyler talked about that a little bit on NS9 Live, but then on I guess it was yesterday, right? Yesterday was the Bregman signing.
Well, I
Uh,
think, yeah, technically like the
Sunday,
night before.
Saturday, one of the two, but yeah, They signed Alec. I guess it was Saturday. Alex Bregman signed to a 5-year deal. There's about $70 million in deferred cash on that, but it comes out to 5 years, $175 million. Deferrals lower that AAV to roughly 30 to 31 million dollars per season. But yeah, they pick up Alex Bregman, who, let's face it, I'm a little confused here. I feel like a lot of Pirates fans have been on social media and it was reading on Discord, a few of them, but like Alex Bregman's good. He's a good
Yeah.
player.
Where'd this come from that he's not?
Like, and it doesn't matter if if you think the Cubs overpaid for him or if you think it's a bad contract. Like, the Cubs have money. Bad contracts aren't that big of a deal for them. At the end of the day, the Cubs got a really good player here. Last 4 seasons, 5.4 WAR, 4.4 WAR, 4.2 WAR, 3.5 WAR. Last year played 114 games, so it was limited a little bit there with injury. But I mean, this is a guy who can hit, he can field. He's just an overall well-rounded player, one of the better third basemen in baseball. And yeah, you just, again, last week you and Tyler looked at the division and you were like, all right, where do we stack up? Here's the thing. The Cubs already had a 21 game advantage on you. 21 games. Like, these two teams weren't close last year. And could you say the Pirates made up some ground? I think you could say yeah. Yeah, the Pirates made up some ground this offseason. But the Cubs lose Kyle Tucker. Then they go out there, they pick up Cabrera, and they now get Bregman. Is Bregman as good as Kyle Tucker? Probably not at this stage of their careers, but it's not that big of a drop-off. Not that big of a drop-off. And yeah, this just makes it a little bit tougher to catch the Cardinals. Because again, they were 21 games better than you last year. The Pirates went, what, 2-12 against the Cubs last season? Like, these two teams, again, they weren't close together. So you start looking at this division and you see, hey, the Brewers were 26 games better than you. I don't think the Brewers got much worse at all.
No.
And the Cubs maybe slightly, but just slightly. And so now you're looking at a division that, I don't know, they've got, you got two teams in this division where, like, they're going to win 85 or more games, probably, like, unless something crazy happens.
Yeah. I mean, you talk about slightly, and I felt like they were slightly down from last year just because of the loss of Tucker, you know. But now when you get Bregman, I mean, to some level, like that's the Tucker replacement. I don't excuse me. I know, like, when Tyler was talking, he was like, there's no one in this lineup that strikes fear. And again, like, I don't really feel that Bregman is he's not the Tucker type at the plate. Like, he's not that type of, like, he strikes fear, but, like, again, just a solid hitter. Just that whole lineup 1 through 9 now is just completely solid. And but the glove, the glove comes in. So, like, to some level, he is kind of like a Tucker replacement. I mean, and then you add Cabrera. Like, I don't know. I mean, they look to be just about as good as last year. And like you mentioned with the Brewers, there's not really a whole lot of loss there. I think there's a lot of room for some players to improve. I mean, Cherio could certainly have like an MVP type season or close to it in him. Like what he did last year was good, but I think we all believe that it could be even better. Absolutely. So yeah, I mean, it's tough. I mean, we talked about that. The Pirates have closed in on that. I think that is fair. But now with this Bregman stuff, it's like, all right, well, we're back to where we were. I think like last week when we were talking with Tyler, it's like, we can see this team being like an 83 win team. Cubs probably sitting like around an 88-ish. And now you have Bregman. It's like, all right, well, now they're back to like 92.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, you look at the division, and I think the Pirates did a good job of at least like catching the Reds. Like, the Cardinals have floundered. They've gotten worse. I think you've passed them up. But the Reds, who have an unbelievable pitching staff, their starting rotation is just, it's incredible. But I think the Pirates and Reds are in similar spots right now. Really, really good pitching staffs. They've got some offensive upside. the Reds' floor is probably a little bit lower than the Pirates right now. Just kind of looking at their guys. Like I think the Pirates have. If I had to pick between the two teams on who I'd rather be right now, I'd probably go Pirates just because I don't believe in too many of those hitters on that Reds team. But if anything, like they're neck and neck with each other, I think. Vegas doesn't think so. FanDuel still has the Reds way higher on their NL Central odds than the Pirates. But yeah, I think those two teams are pretty similar. But yeah, you look at where we're at right now, you look at the Cubs, you look at the Brewers, and we're just not there yet. We're not there yet. And there's still a pretty big gap, I think. So when the question is, is there one more signing left? Is there one more big move? Like there has to be. There has to be. If there isn't, then you didn't have the sufficient resources to build a playoff team, right? Because then you start just doing the math, right? And it's like, if you aren't better than the Brewers or the Cubs, okay, let's do some math here. There's 6 playoff spots. If they take 2 of them, and then the 2 other division winners take 2 more, then it's you versus everyone in the NL East and everyone in the NL West. What that means is if you want a wild card spot, you've got to be what would end up being the second best team in one of those 2 divisions. You got to beat everybody else but the division winner in one of those 2 divisions. And that's the position we're at right now. Because like I wholeheartedly believe, unless there's like just some catastrophic injuries, like the Brewers and the Cubs are playoff teams.
For sure. And like that's the difference. And that's, I think, what you're alluding to some level here. I mean, as a general manager, look, you have to play the games. Like on paper is one thing, but what happens in season? And I get that and understand that. But you also have to be honest with yourself. Do you actually believe you've done everything you're talking about? Like the resources, do you actually believe that you've given Don Kelly and company a real shot to do this? And if you're being honest with yourself, I think right now, as you're alluding to, the answer is no. Like right now where things stand, you're at best 3rd realistically. Now, when you play the games and things happen and things shape up and, this player has a tragic injury and, he's out for the year and, Jared Triolo's playing out of his mind and he ends up having a 5-war season and, like whatever happens. And it's like, okay, at the end of the year, like you did finish 2nd place. Fine. That's cool. But that's not like realistic at this point of time.
I wouldn't say it's not real. Like it's possible. It's just, it's not likely. Like, I mean,
yeah, well, and that's the best way of putting it. But like, I'm not like, if that happens, you know what I mean? Like that's not the way to plan. That's not the way to manage generally, to go into the season to hope for these type of things. So again, like it's fine. Like they're doing the right thing so far. Again, I'm not trying to discredit what they've done, but I think it's very clear that it can't be finished, but it also can't continue with like just a Yoan Moncada, and that's where I fear it's like, hey, Ben mentioned like he still wants to add to the bullpen, still wants to add to the starting pitching, right? Supplement what they've traded away, which is smart. And I'm glad I'm hearing this. Also wants to add one more bat. But again, it's like what I fear is that bat being, hey, we got a platoon guy.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think you can do just what you've done these last few off seasons to kind of put together the rest of this roster. And we'll dive into it, but this roster still needs quite a bit of work. Like you look at the bench right now. That's what I really kind of want to focus on more than anything. Like the bench is something you can't go into the season with the bench as it's currently constructed. You can't do it. So like, yeah, they need to strengthen that left side of the infield. And Ben has said that, right? I mean, the quote that he gave this weekend, I think this was during the the Ryan O'Hearn press conference is he did mention that like he specifically wants to do something with that left side of the infield. So, he's at least aware that like they need help over there. He also mentioned he wants to add to the pitching to the rotation. He added maybe something else to the bullpen as well. So I'm all for, making some upgrades to the staff and the bullpen. But yeah, like they need to do a couple more things on the position player side, not just to like get a starter in the left side of the infield, but like they need to move some guys off of this bench. They need to bump some guys down the depth chart. So
right.
yeah, they can't be done. And one big move certainly helps. Like that will be a needle mover. So like I said, an Eugenio Suarez is a needle mover. It's just then you start getting into the territory of the payroll discussion. Like, I mean, you're
right.
Once you start talking Suarez, then and you still have to do 2 or 3 more things. You're talking about a 120 to 125 million dollar payroll at that point,
if not more.
Yeah. Which do we expect that at all?
I would welcome it with open arms. Please, please, Bob. But honestly, even our realistic expectations of this team opening the wallet is probably like a 110, 115 million dollar payroll, and like I don't really even expect that. I mean, again, I'm kind of shocked that we're entertaining an Okamoto to some level because, like, guys, that's gonna put you at like 110. Are you sure? No, it didn't happen, so I'm not totally sure. But again, that's what we're talking about. Like, I wasn't even totally expecting like 110. So expecting 120, 125 is kind of like I really have no expectations for that. But you're right, man. You're right. Like the thing about adding a big impactful third baseman is you get Jared Trill like in that utility role. And that's what's going to elevate him, I think, make him a better player. So again, like you're not only upgrading third base, but you're upgrading your bench and your other players. So, because I would rather have Jared Triolo in that spot than like a Nick Gonzalez, or a Nick York, if that makes sense. So absolutely. But I don't know where they're going to go with this. But I want to ask you this. I want to say this though, at least to me, it is very refreshing hearing Ben talk lately. Can you at least say that? I mean, like he specifically said, we want to add the bullpen, we want to replenish starting pitching, and we want to add one more bat. I mean, years past, all you just heard was, well, we're going to look for opportunities to get better. We're always looking for opportunities to get better. Well, Ben, what are you going to do this offseason? Well, we're going to look for opportunities to get better. It's you kind of throw us the plan here. Like there's a legit plan. You've told us what you're doing. You've zoned in, and it's 3 guys. It's not even just one. Like it also is 3. You're looking for at least 3 players, and it's here, and here. I've never heard Ben talk like this.
Yeah, I mean, he has specifically mentioned like we aren't done. He even said the word, he's not satisfied with what's happened.
Too. Yeah.
There's more that he wants to do. I mean, he's basically said kind of what we just said at the beginning here. Like, I mean, his quote was, "We feel good about the progress we've made. We're not satisfied. There's more we want to do." I mean, that's
right.
That's our sentiment as well. It's like, okay, yeah, so far so good. There's more though. Like we still need to do more. So it sounds like at least we're on the same page as the front office. I'm just curious because again, we know the limitations that Bob Nutting puts on this team.
Right.
From a payroll standpoint, from a dollars and cents standpoint. And I think this team could take a significant step forward. It's got the opportunity to do so, but payroll's going to have to be the highest it's ever been It's going to have to be 120 to 125 million dollars. And Travis Williams came out this what was it, October, and said that hey, the resources were going to be sufficient to make the playoffs. Well, then like show it to us, because so far it's been a good offseason, but payroll's exactly the same as it was last year. Like we haven't really seen any of those additional resources. Now, it's been, I guess, somewhat encouraging that they're in these talks to get these other players that would bump their payroll up, but they've missed out on all of them. Like the big name guys, they've missed out on. I mean, if you'd have told me the Pirates signed Ryan O'Hearn to a 2-year deal, at the beginning of the offseason, like I would have been happy with that. Like that would have been what was expected of them. Like this was a team that couldn't hit, and you had a guy who seemed like he'd be relatively affordable on the market for you, who just was like a perfect fit. And they went out and got him. So like kudos to the Pirates. They went out and they got the moves, like the 2 moves that made sense. I mean, how many times have we said that they need to trade for Brandon Lau? Like it's not like they went
How
out.
long's he been a Ray?
Yeah, like they didn't go out there and do anything like groundbreaking or something that was like completely out of the blue. Like they did the things that we were like, do these things. So like they've got that part done. Now it's like, all right, now show us. Now it's Bob's turn to really pony up here, because I feel like Ben's sort of done his job so far. He's done the things that we were like, hey, do these things.
They're right impactful moves.
Yeah. Right now it's up to Bob. Now it's like, okay, Bob, you just bottomed out for 5 straight years. Payroll was abysmal. Time to pony up. Time to pony up. Like it's now or never.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I agree with you. I agree. And it's weird because, like, our tune has kind of changed, like, to a 180 right now on Ben Cherington. And it's not just like, because we're just trying to have a show pony, I don't know, whatever. I mean, it's just like, it's because he's doing what we've asked. Like we've been saying for how many years, do these things. And well, they don't. You see what they do, and you see where they end up. And it's like this year, it's like they seem to be doing what we've been asking for. So it's like, well, hey, this is kind of cool. I've never seen this before. I think the Pirates should do something to make them better, and they're doing something to make them better. So, like, yeah, kudos to Ben Cherington for doing that. But at the same time, I think I said this before too. And if you think about it, like, this actually is still the bare minimum. It's just they've never done the bare minimum. They've done below the bare minimum to get better. So yes, like they've started the job, and they've started it in ways we never really seen from this regime. But like I said, they've started the job, and Ben Cherington's even admitted that too. Like they're not satisfied. They need to complete it. And like you mentioned, in order to complete it, to start the job, they got back to where they were last year as far as payroll goes. They traded off, got rid of some, contracts. They kind of bought them out. That way they could add some impactful bats. And again, that's what they've done. But those impactful bats have got them back to that payroll. So yes, they need Bob to come in and sign off to say, here's more money to finish the job. And it can be done. It can be done. But it's getting, harder and harder now. There's more options, off the table at this point in time. You miss out on your Okamotos and such. I mean, as far as like the free agent market goes for a third baseman, it pretty much is Suarez. It's Suarez or bust. And if it's not Suarez, you're probably looking to the trade market. And again, when you play the games, there's what's that?
Or Moncada. I mean, that's your other option.
Well, again, Moncada is not Suarez. That's what I'm saying. Like, no. He's not an impactful bat. When it comes to impactful bats, it's Suarez or bust. And if it's not, you're probably looking to the trade market. And you could maybe even argue there that those guys won't be as impactful as Suarez. So that's why, again, like it's getting tougher. You're starting to realize like it's probably bust when it comes to Suarez. So are they going to really finish the job? We'll find out. Time will tell. When that happens, we'll be live and talking about it. But again, like it's getting more difficult to see it. And again, when you see the Cubs making improvements like signing Bregman, now it's like, oh, gosh,
yeah,
kind of dampers things to some level.
Just to kind of throw this out there, John asks, would we be satisfied trading for Alec Bohm and then signing Jose Quintana and then calling it a night?
I mean, satisfied is not a good word there because like the answer is no. I wouldn't be satisfied. That at least is taking next steps. That still is addressing it. I feel like I would rather have Bohm than Moncada. Personally, that is where I am. But I'm not satisfied. I'm still looking like, oh, gosh, like if his team could have just done it, if this team could have just got Suarez, this team could have just, because you're still sitting there thinking like there's still a gap. You have improved, you've addressed the needs, but there's still a big gap. I mean, you look at the Cubs and it's like, it's a good team. I mean, again, like think about this, Jim, because again, people still want to like love the pitching on the Pirates as they should. Pirates had the 7th best ERA last year. They could improve. They could. They were dead last in runs last year, but Cubs were 9th in ERA. Like, I don't understand this perception of like the Cubs pitching is just so far less superior. It's so far away from the Pirates. They were the 9th best ERA last year. Pirates were 7th. They were 3rd in runs last year, their offense. They lost Tucker. They added Bregman. Like again, this whole mindset too of like the Pirates are that close to the Cubs right now. No, they're still not. Like the Cubs pitching is very talented too. So, anyways, yeah, like adding those two guys, no, I'm not satisfied.
I'm in the same boat as you. So I'm not going to add too much on there. The issue with adding Bohm and Quintana and calling it a day is that, it's something like it's better than not doing those things. The issue is that Jack Suwinski's still on your team. Like Jack Suwinski's still on your 26-man roster in this case. And so is Jostinson Garcia probably. One of those guys hasn't played hardly at all in the majors. And the other guy has, and he's been absolutely terrible the last few years. Like right. You need to add more pieces just to the overall depth of this lineup, because right now the bench is horrendous. It's horrendous. And people get hurt throughout the year. Like you're going to have to use these guys, and it's not going to just be on a limited basis. Like the guys who are on the roster resources projected bench page right now aren't just playing 15 to 20 games. These guys are going to play 80 to 100 games this year.
Right.
And the bench looks like Nick York, Jostinson Garcia, and Jack Suwinski. In my opinion, none of those guys should be on the opening day roster. I could make an argument that like Garcia, like I could like if he like goes out there and just like has an incredible spring, then like, you know what, let's see what this is. But in order for those three guys to start the season in AAA, it means you got to go out there and get at least 3 more hitters.
Right. And to piggyback with what you're saying, I'm with you too. Like I would feel okay if Garcia, I'm not going to be pounding the table and yelling at Ben Cherington because Garcia is starting the year on the roster. But to me, that's more of like, he's the 26th man, if that makes sense. Not like the first guy off the bench.
Yeah.
So yeah, because, and again, like he has talent. He has a great spring. You know what? Here, kid, you deserve the call. Come up.
Yeah. And so that's kind of when I'm looking at this roster right now, that's my biggest hang up is, you know what? I think you could, and I mean, it's not an ideal situation, but I think you could live with Triolo and Gonzalez on the left side of the infield until Connor Griffin comes up. It's not what I would prefer, but like there are worse infields, I guess, out there. And you did some things, but like the bench though is it cannot be the way it currently is constructed. So like you need to do things to bump those guys off your roster to do something. So Yeah, that's where I'm at right now. If Bohm's that guy, then Bohm's that guy. If Isak Paredes is that guy, then Isak Paredes is that guy. You know, the Mets have some options there that can maybe help you out. Like there are trades out there. The other thing too is like, I don't know, we haven't really heard much about the trade market. It does sound like the Astros are cool with, you know, shopping around Paredes, but again, like you can't. The problem with these teams who are shopping these guys is they seem like they want major league talent. Like
Right.
they're also trying to win right now. And the Pirates aren't in a position where they can make another trade of someone off of their active roster. Unless you want to say, like, does Nick York get it done? Or does you know, would you trade Nick Gonzalez to get one of those players? Probably. Like maybe like that's an option.
Yeah.
But then that doesn't really do anything for the bench situation that you've got. Like, then you still have, like, if you trade Nick Gonzalez, then Nick York's still on your bench. It's you got to add pieces without really removing guys from the top of your organization at this point, because once those guys go, which again, it happens, like the players on the active roster today, you're going to use another 10 players probably, or you know, at least 5, 6.
Oh, come
So
on,
like,
man. We've done how many sporkles?
yeah. So then you're talking about, okay, well then, you know, how much playing time does Enmanuel Valdez get this year? How much playing time does you know, Billy Cook? You know, and these are the names that you're starting to talk about, and it's like, I don't want to see those guys very much, you know?
Yep.
So you gotta keep adding, to this depth chart.
I agree. But at the same time, you know, you add a Paredes. I feel like it's a lot easier and you won't have as much uproar by adding bench. Like if your need now is just let's upgrade the bench, you can do that fairly cheaply. You know, you can go after the C, D level free agents or whatever and get them kind of cheap and such. So, you know, at that point in time, or even make a trade, you know, you're not giving up much. Those type of guys, you can probably get away with trading prospects, no doubt. So, you know, I think again, like that's a needle mover though. If now you're worried about the bench, like we're coming to a point now we're worried about the bench, not there's nobody to play third base. You know, so and again, that's why I give a little bit of pushback. Like, I mean, Triolo and Nick Gonzalez, I'm maybe comfortable and okay with that if they've upgraded somewhere else to allow that. You know, I don't see that happening. But if they went out and they got a big bopper in left field, which again, like you traded for Garcia, you traded for Mangum, like is that the best way to use the resources? But again, if that's what they did, then I might be okay with that until Connor Griffin comes up. But if it's like they go into the offseason or into the season now, just saying like, hey, be comfortable with these two right now until Connor Griffin comes up. It's like, no, I'm not. Again, I'm not satisfied. No, not at all. You didn't do what you needed. You need that other bat, and you didn't do it. So that's just where I'm at.
Yeah.
Again, I'm comfortable with Triolo being at shortstop until Connor Griffin comes up, or I'm comfortable with essentially what you're saying at this point in time, or Connor Griffin makes it and it's Triolo and Connor Griffin on the left side if they made some big move and maybe it's catcher, maybe it's left field, you know, something like that. But there's the impact bat somewhere else. That's the only way I'm comfortable with a Nick Gonzalez, Jared Triolo, Connor Griffin left side of the infield for 2026.
Yeah, and I say Griffin is definitely a piece to this, because it's weird saying it because he's 19 years old, but under normal circumstances, I would be like, this guy probably needs a little bit more time. But he has shown time and time again that he does not seem like a normal circumstance type guy. He played basically 50 games at each level this past season between A ball, high A, and double A, and just dominated. So he is if he's not ready, he's at least very close to being ready, which is an insane thing to say. Like I said, I think under normal circumstances, I would be like, he's still probably like a year away, but I don't know if he is. And we went through this last year where it's like, you know, sometimes players take some time at the upper levels before they're ready. I just don't think he's going to be one of them. Like, I don't think he's going to be one of those players. So
There's
yeah,
not much in his game that makes you feel that way.
and all, like, you just look at him right now and you're like, his floor seems very high currently as constructed, and it's only going to get higher as he gets older and better and sees more pitches. But yeah, he's definitely the piece to this where, like, we're not talking about Connor Griffin right now on the roster, but he's a special kid, and he could very much, like, he is going to be given a chance, I think, to make this team out of opening day. And it's going to be interesting if that's the case. But yeah, I don't know if he'll be up like opening day, which would solve some of your problems, but I don't think it's going to take him very long to get here.
No, nope. And I keep saying, like he's going to tell us, he'll dictate it. I want to see it, but of course I want to see it because he's proving himself ready. And so far he has. I mean, so far he's checked off all the boxes. It's just funny and weird to think about. Like his only struggle came in low A ball last year for like the first 8 days. It wasn't the jump from Greensboro to Altoona. Again, like that's what's funny to me. It's not as if he had any like learning curve at any level. It was the bottom of the barrel. It was his first week where it was like his struggle, Jim. And then after that, it didn't matter where he was. He performed and he was the best player on the field. And again, like it wasn't like, think about Esmeralda Valdez. Like Esmeralda Valdez finished in Altoona strong. That's why there's talk about him. But he had the adjustment when he first came up. There was the struggle for the first few weeks. And then, okay, it's clicking. Connor Griffin never saw that. He came up and just mashed every single place he was, especially Double A. That's the thing, too. Like, I felt he got better with each level. So the new age baseball, which isn't all that new age anymore, but it's like Double A is typically your toughest place. And Ben's been one to say it on record since he started. It's like if you're at Double A, you're on the footsteps of Major League Baseball. He was there for a month. He dominated for a month. So again, like that's why I do feel he is on that doorstep of Major League Baseball and making for opening day. So if he goes out there and has a great spring and he proves himself, I'm all for it. If he struggles, then I'm all for him going down there and seasoning up, if you may. But he'll definitely, I think, be here before June. Like we're I don't think it's going to be a Super 2 debate.
Yeah, I'm with you there. But yeah, I think like if this were me and I was running this team, like Eugenio Suarez is your priority right now. You've got to figure out a way to make that happen. I said it's up to Bob to pony up at this point. You got to get
some money, Jim.
Yeah, like you've got to make another. You need to make another big swing, and you need to get someone in this lineup who can punish a baseball from the right-handed side, from the right-handed batter's box. You don't really have that right now, and you just need some sort of balance here to. I mean, like you've done a good job loading up the left side, but you need someone to plug in there to at least make pitchers either pay. I guess making managers pay for going to a lefty, or at least like make them at least think twice about it. But Suarez is that guy, and he's like the only one left. That's like he's it. So I would add Suarez. I would add another outfielder to the mix at least. I'd probably go like maybe like the Willie Castro or. I mean, shoot. I mean, even Tommy Pham at this point, I think would make a decent fourth outfielder for you.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, we've been saying that since the offseason began. I'd be fine with that.
Yeah. And then, yeah, honestly, if you could go out there and you could get Willie Castro, Tommy Pham, Eugenio Suarez, like then I'd be very happy with how the offseason went in terms of the position player group. Rob Refsnyder, I think, would have been a really good fit, but he got signed for $6.25 million by Seattle. So like, but you got to go out there. You still got to add more, and maybe it's trades, and we don't know who those guys are yet. But there are some players out there that make this team better, even just from a pure depth standpoint. they've got to do something. But yeah, Suarez to me, power is just what this team lacks, and he's got it, and he's like the only one who's got it, and he's got what you need
at the position that you desperately need.
Yeah, it's an absolute perfect fit. Just like how Brandon Lau was a perfect fit. Just Ryan O'Hearn, Brandon Lau, these guys were great fits. Suarez is another great fit. And people want to say, "Oh, PNC Park isn't good for righties. PNC Park isn't good for righties." Okay, so you still need them. You play 81 games away from PNC Park. Like you still need right-handed hitters at some point.
You're super lefty right now.
Yeah, it hasn't worked out very well for you in the past, just not getting these guys. So, hey, why don't we go ahead and try getting these guys? It's not like power hitters.
And if you're going to get one that you might not have to worry about too much, it's probably the guy who hit 50 of them last year.
Yeah, and let's say he hits 25. Let's say it cuts in half.
Right.
That's still a pretty significant upgrade over what you currently have.
Exactly. I agree.
Yeah, like I said, there's still a lot to be done, and I think they got to do one more big one. I just don't know if the money's there.
I don't either, but I want to emphasize something here as well, because it's going to come into play with the Suarez thing, okay? And it goes back to the whole Bregman talks. If you're so worried about value, chances are you're not going to win baseball games. Typically, the guy and the GM and the team that has the best dollars per WAR isn't in the World Series. Sometimes you need to pay to get the guy that you need to get there. It's not about, is this value there? Because that's how you end up with the Yoan Moncadas and not maybe the Suarez that puts you over the hump. Right. Clap your hands and say, you know what, though? Moncada gave us better dollars per WAR. That's not what we're playing for. It's not, again, I know that belt got passed around the winter meetings some years ago. I don't know if that's still a thing, but that's not what you really play for. That's not what typically what does to win. The Cubs needed a guy, and they used their resources and their power to ensure they're making the playoffs. That's what it takes sometimes. Sometimes you have to be comfortable being uncomfortable, and you got to get the guy and use what it takes to get the guy that you need to get there. So you might be uncomfortable with Suarez because it's going to cost this much and what his value is and this and that, but Suarez is the type of guy that this team needs. Make it happen. I mean, sitting in third place out of the wild card because you had good value doesn't do anything for you.
I think that's an excellent point. You know, if the Pirates go out there and sign Yoan Moncada for $5 million, there's going to be someone out there who's like, I'd rather have Yoan Moncada for $5 million than Bregman for $35 million. And it's like, that's not the point. Like you mentioned, that's not the point. Maybe Moncada gets you one WAR and it costs you $5 million, and Bregman's WAR costs you $10 million per WAR. But guess what? Bregman gave you a lot better production than Moncada. That's the point. The point of the game is to win. It's not necessarily to find the most value. And yeah, that's where this Bregman signing, I think that, like I said, where Pirates fans are a little off here is he's good. He's a really good player. And yeah, that contract may look ugly in 2031. Who cares? Who cares? By that point, Paul Skeens is going to be a Dodger or a Yankee. Yeah. Like, who cares anymore, to be honest with you? The Pirates need to go out there and do something right now. And
and as we've seen time and time again, you can still trade those guys. I mean, Giancarlo Stanton was that contract. Miami had no problem with that contract.
Yeah, it's probably maybe a little bit harder to move those contracts nowadays, but it can still be done.
But like, if you're talking about a year left of Bregman,
yeah, you can figure it out.
Anyway,
yeah,
does that wrap up our show?
I think it does.
Sounds good. So this Wednesday, we'll have our show again. Guest special guest. Dallas Braden is going to return. Dallas Braden will be on with us this Wednesday, talking some Buccos. So that'll be fun. We'll have Dallas Braden on Wednesday. The Point returns on Friday. But then we're now less than 2 weeks. You and Tyler, Pirates Fest.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I haven't been to Pirates Fest since I was like a kid. The last time I was at Pirates Fest, this is how long ago it was. It was at the Science Center, which they haven't held it at the Science Center in a while. But it was at the Science Center, and I'm pretty sure when I was there, I got Bobby Bradley's autograph.
Ooh.
1999 first round pick, Bobby Bradley. And then I also, because I think sitting right next to Bobby Bradley was J.R. House. Yeah. That's how
if you're not promoting reasons to go to Pirates Fest, I don't know who will.
It was just an absolutely electric environment for those two.
Yeah. Yeah. But no, I think things are a little bit different this time around. Maybe just a little bit, but it should be a good time. But, again, you and Tyler will be there, hopefully doing a live show, some cool content, and meeting some people. So if you guys see Jim and Tyler, like I said, look for Jim, and then you'll see Tyler. Say hi.
Yeah, I think Abraham Nunez was there too.
Ooh. Pirates legends. I can't even say that without coughing, laughing. Anyhow. Yeah. So we'll be at Pirates Fest, and still some more announcements coming. So I can't wait to do that. But obviously, Bradenton will be there February 21st to March 7th. We'll be in Bradenton, Lecon Park doing shows. So awesome stuff. I can't wait. Baseball season is coming closer and closer. Just do the one more big move, Ben. That's all we ask for. Bob, listen up. All right.
One more move.
We out. We'll see you guys later.
Out. Yep.
Bye-bye.
See you guys. All right, that wraps up this episode of North Shore 9. Thanks so much for tuning in, whether you're listening on the podcast or catching us on YouTube. If you enjoyed the show, please give this video a thumbs up, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. It really helps us grow. And if you're listening on the podcast, a quick review goes a long way in helping others find the show. Plus, be sure to tell a friend about us. There's always room for more here in the NS9 community. And for those looking to support us a little more, consider joining our Patreon, become an MVP member, and get exclusive perks while helping us continue to bring you more of the Pirates content you love. Thanks again for all your support, and let's go Bucks.